So Liverpool Football Club are up for sale. This inevitably means that there will be yet another billionaire investing, splurging, and spraying their money all over the beautiful game. It's obviously too soon to talk about potential buyers, but I think what we can be sure of is that there won't be a shortage of interest. And what else we can be sure of is they're going to be incredibly rich. This is, after all, the rich man's game. Whoever it ends up being, I think it will be potentially a US consortium, a Middle Eastern consortium, maybe a Chinese investors. They're all going to be majorly interested because Liverpool Football Club carry a prestige and a purpose in the game. You really have a purchase in football if you have Liverpool Football Club as part of your portfolio. And this means that somebody very wealthy and somebody who is presumably trying to turn a profit is going to be invited into our game. The crazy thing here is, right, when we talk about turning a profit, you're going to try and turn a profit when you have spent 3 billion quid on an entity. Liverpool Football Club, I think, give or take, is worth 3 billion. Basing that on Chelsea being worth 2.5. Chelsea being based in London adds a bit. Liverpool being a bigger brand, a more successful football team adds a bit. So overall, I think it's a little bit dearer than Chelsea. Whoever buys it is going to spend 3 billion quid on Liverpool and then think and hope to turn a profit on 3 billion. So how much money do they expect to extract from the club in order to make money if the initial outlay is 3 billion? When I'm talking these numbers, it makes me realise that football has actually gone mad, hasn't it? Like the disgusting sums of money involved in football, it's actually mind-blowing. And it isn't really a game anymore, it's a business. Football is truly a business. And naturally, when there is this amount of wealth involved, there has to be concerns about the ownership because this is a very legitimate question, I think. Who has that kind of money? Do you? I certainly don't. How on earth do you become a billionaire? How on earth do you have 3 billion quid to buy a football team with? You have to ask some serious questions about people with that kind of money. And look, of course, there are some incredible entrepreneurs. There are some incredible businessmen in the world who create wonderful things and turn a profit. And I am fully in favour of that kind of upwardly mobile hustle. But there is also an awful lot of corruption in this world. And people with that kind of money, it needs to be checked. It needs to be checked and balanced properly. We need to do our due diligence on whoever ends up buying Liverpool because Liverpool Football Club are an institution and they need to be protected in the way that Manchester United are an institution and were not protected. There have been some terrible owners in our game. Whether you want to talk about the Glazers or Kroenke or Chelsea or whatever, there have been some terrible owners. And now there is potentially going to be another one. The end of the FSG era is seemingly upon us, and we need to tread very carefully. Looking back at the FSG era, overall, I feel like it's been very successful. You know, if you look at where they were when they took over from Hicks and Gillette, the Hodgson era, you know, it was never worse, was it? I mean, Liverpool were a mid-table club. It had never been worse for Liverpool certainly in my lifetime. And if you look at the turnaround, if you look at the trajectory that Liverpool have been on since FSG took over, it's been amazing. It's an incredible statement, actually. Last season ultimately felt like a little bit of a failure. It was a domestic double. It's huge. You know, there's obviously been the end to the 30-year drought of a Premier League title. There's obviously been European success. So overall, I think it needs to be viewed positively. Of course, mistakes were made. Trying to trademark Liverpool was a disgrace, and the Spirit of Shankly did brilliantly there, fighting back against that terrible move. I mean, pulling up the ladder like that is truly disgraceful. Obviously, Liverpool were part of the Super League plans. And I wonder if the lack of Super League action, where those big clubs did away with the threat of relegation and only played one another and guaranteed ridiculous sums of money, I wonder if that has actually had an impact on FSG wanting to leave. But overall, the FSG era will be a defining era of Liverpool Football Club. They have assembled what I believe is the best ever Liverpool team. And when you think of the eras of dominance that Liverpool have had, late 70s, early 80s, the Liverpool team under FSG was the best of the lot. History won't be particularly kind to it because the dominance of Man City, it isn't a Liverpool era, it's a City era. Liverpool actually only have one title to show for it. And that is why this move could be everything that Liverpool need. You know, I'm very sceptical of anybody coming into the game and their motivations. And I know that I need to suspend my judgment a touch. But Jurgen Klopp spoke about this, didn't he? He said that Liverpool can't compete with sovereign wealth funds. And that is, of course, true. You can't compete with Newcastle United. You can't compete with Paris Saint-Germain. You can't compete with Manchester City if you are something like FSG. The Fenway Sports Group. They're a sports group whose entire MO is to extract money from the game. They are a sports group who try and prioritise monetary gain from sport. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what Liverpool have done, and the brilliance of Liverpool and the brilliance of Klopp, I think has masked and created a facade around FSG. I don't think it's always been good, and I think they have got away with it a bit because of how good Klopp has been. They haven't invested when they should have done. And Liverpool's success was, obviously, there was a shelf life. It was never going to be able to continue because you can't continue creating the best players in the world. Sign a keeper, becomes the best keeper in the world. Sign a centre-half from Southampton, becomes the best centre-half. Bring through a young right-back, becomes the best right-back in the world. Sign a left-back for sod all from Hull, becomes the best left-back. Create Jordan Henderson, make him the best captain in the world at the time. Sign Mo Salah, best forward. Sadio Mane deserved the Ballon d'Or at the time. Like, it's unsustainable, and therefore money is needed. The fact that they didn't spend big in the summer is why they are where they are now. Tchouaméni needed to sign for Liverpool. If he didn't, Bellingham did. They needed a midfielder. The fact that Jordan Henderson and Harvey Elliott are playing in the same team, the fact that James Milner, who was playing Premier League football before Harvey Elliott was even born, are in the same team is a catastrophe and a sad indictment on what FSG have done, actually. So, Liverpool need something else. Liverpool need a new answer because there is a ceiling under FSG, particularly with Man City and Newcastle and Chelsea spend, don't get me wrong, just in a slightly different way. So maybe this is the answer. But I do think my overall message here is let's just get it right for Liverpool, for football, for the Premier League, for everything. Let's just make sure that this is right. Whoever takes over, let's make sure that they are anti a Super League. Let's make sure that they are in favour of the pyramid system in this league. Let's make sure that their ambition is correct. Let's make sure that they aren't simply trying to extract as much money out of our game as possible. Let's make sure that they are the perfect owner that they're meant to be. That fit and proper person's test. Let's make sure that Liverpool are protected if this sale does actually happen. Who's it going to be? I imagine it will be, I mean, if in terms of British ownership, it can only be Ratcliffe, can't it? And he's a Chelsea season ticket holder and a Manchester United fan. So I'm sceptical there. Let the bidding commence, I guess. More money are washing into this league. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Have I been a little bit down on this? Have I been a little bit sceptical early? Or do you think that I'm onto something? Do we need to be worried about where this is going to end up? Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please click subscribe. See you in a bit.